So, Jason, in the past, we've talked about post quantum cryptography and MLDSA. We've spoken with Bas Westervan and other people about the challenge that the keys for MLDSA present in terms of traditional PKI and key exchange. We've talked about the proposed Merkle Tree solution to this, Merkle Tree Certificates, MTC, it's called. And we've seen some very important developments in this area just in the last couple months, right?
I think very important. I tell you how it kind of worked out personally for me, Tim, and then I'll let you share too. I saw a LinkedIn post by Bas Westerban, who's been on the podcast. Anything he does, anything he says.
I saw the same thing, yes.
And I was like, of course, my eyes went right to it because anything Bas writes, I read immediately. But one thing he said was it was just a great LinkedIn post. It said, "Hey, very happy to share that Merkle Tree Certificates is going to full standardization. It's going to go get its RFC basically at IETF. Hooray! Massive news, fantastic." And I closed the book and walked away. That it wasn't even hours later, Tim. Blog post from Chrome Root Store program saying we're adopting it. That's what is going to be our solution for post-quantum certificates. Boom.
Yeah, like really big. So certainly Chrome has put the weight of its opinion behind MTC, Merkle Tree Certificates, as a strategy. This is extremely important because even though we've been able to make the argument going as back as 2023 that, hey, there isn't really another good proposed solution, nonetheless, those two things in tandem, I think, are really important. I think the fact that the MTC standard is now in the public commentary phase is extremely important because that's a big milestone in the world of standards, in the world of IETF. Very important. Connected to that, though, this strong statement from the Chrome team to say, look, this is what it's going to be. And who among us has the power to thwart, to ignore what Chrome has to say on this and get away with it? So you have to believe that that's going to be incredibly powerful in terms of causing this to become the actual standard that we actually follow.
Tim, you and I have been covering this topic for, it's getting going to be close to 7 years.
I know. That's
amazing. I think episode 5 of the Root Causes podcast was our first PQC episode. Think about that.
Yeah.
And you and I, from the very beginning, were talking about a major problem that we foresaw, which is the large signature problem. We knew these would be larger. Even before NIST dropped the standards, we knew this would be great, big, humongous signatures.
Yeah.
And so MTC is, going to be Google's way to solve the large signature problem. That's what's been said.
There isn't really another. Like, the closest we get to another potential solution is, there's the on-ramp. And there's a lot of algorithms in the on-ramp, and maybe one of them will be small enough. Okay, that's fine. Maybe, but to slightly paraphrase the well-known expression, maybe is not a strategy, right?
Look, I would love to have Sophia Selly back on because she started dropping hints about, she definitely had to drop some things on this podcast about the chems and the legalities, but she was also starting to drop hints that, down the road, one of the reasons we're going to need cryptographic agility is because smart people like her are going to be inventing better DSAs.
Yeah. I mean, we should not assume that the research and the innovation in the world of post-quantum cryptography is at all over, right? And if anything, the amount of activity and the speed at which we've seen it now suggests that perhaps this whole discipline had ossified, had gotten a little sleepy due to decades of just being able to rely on the exact same couple things. And now it seems to be energized in a way that it hadn't been in decades. And you're seeing so much innovation so fast. So it's very reasonable to wonder if one day we're going to get an algorithm that would fit into our existing key exchange strategies. However, we don't have that in our hands today. And it certainly would not be safe to assume that we will have it in our hands in time to use in our current PQC migration strategies. So again, if you are among the people who are determining this policy, which is folks like a small number of people at Google who are very influential over this, you sort of say, look, this is all we got that will get us there in time.
Tim, here's right at the end of this podcast, I'm going to drop the next 5 podcasts we should do at some point, which is there's going to be at least 5 different ways now to participate in the WebPKI ecosystem in a real, actual, tangible level. One of them is being a CA, obviously. Mm-hmm. The other one's going to be being a co-signer. And then there's also a mirror. What's that? I think, Tim, you and I are way overdue for an MTC deep dive.
Yes.
And this podcast is a kickoff to that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got to make the time to do that for sure. And it is a different architecture, like fundamentally, and not just like the ecosystem itself and the players get to some degree re-architected. It's very, very different in that regard. And so let me just make the point that I think we should not underestimate the major significance of the migration to MTC. It really does require a wholesale wall-to-wall retooling of the way we implement and use the public trust, for want of a better word, the WebPKI infrastructure. It's a big, big, big deal. And you have to imagine that folks like Chrome understand that. And so when you look at the fact that they've made this kind of strong declaration, it shows how much they believe that this is really the only viable path forward.
Yeah. I can't see Chrome saying, whoops, sorry, renege on what we just said. Yeah. I think and in combination with Tim, with the last few podcasts that we just published, I would say that Google's really serious in putting something in place by 2029, right? At the absolute latest. And therefore, here it is. Like I think they've made their decision. They're not going to start changing their minds in the middle of things between now and 2029. It's going to take till that long to get everything set up.
Yeah, well, even hypothetically, if we found that algorithm today, we said, this is it. It meets everything. It fits in our key sizes. It's PQC. It's all of our requirements. There still just wouldn't be time to spin it up and tool it and have it ready.
And Tim, there's so much richness in MTC as a concept that goes beyond just the solving of the large signature problem. It is a wholesale reorganization of WebPKI for some good things that we wouldn't want to throw it anyway. So there you go.
So yeah, this is a big one. Much more to come on this. Think of this as your introduction to MTC certificates, or I guess I don't need to say that. The C in MTC is certificates. Think about this as your introduction to Merkle Tree Certificates, and more coming for sure.
You got it, Tim.